Book 85 of 2019 was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. So I'd read this book when I was in school. So I think I was about 14 or 15, and I absolutely hated it. Thought it was really, really boring. And so when it got voted in at my book club, I was a bit annoyed. I was like, this is like, I'm gonna have to read it again. I don't like it. And I thought, okay, maybe because I'm older, I might see it from a new perspective and I might like it more this time or whatever. So I decided to read it again. I got it on Audible this time because I thought I'm not actually going to read the thing, and then if I don't like it, I can listen to it on double speed or whatever. Now, I understand that Angelou was kind of challenged to write a book that merged genres between autobiography and like a novel. But the problem is, it doesn't work. There's a reason why these two things are different genres, and you can't just put them together and expect that it'll work, because by putting them together, the book has got its weaknesses. So, for example, when you're writing an autobiography or a biography, you often have kind of like what's happened, so like the event, and then you have the actual person, the author, biographer, autobiographer, commenting on it and kind of like being critical or kind of like contextualizing it in relation to their life, or kind of, you know, commenting on the significance of that event and what that meant to them as an individual. So that is completely lacking in this book. So it isn't an autobiography in that sense. It's an autobiography in the sense of it's recounting events of her life, but they're not done in a kind of commentary way. They're done in a kind of, this is what happened. So it's lacking that, so it's less interesting. And then she tries to kind of write it like a novel, so that almost like she is a protagonist of a novel. So you get everything from her perspective. But usually in novels, you have like the narrator that will explain the other characters to you, whereas this is literally just her explaining the other characters. So there's a kind of a lack of character development in the other characters, because obviously it's just from her perspective. And she is very naive and doesn't kind of understand what's going on around her. And I don't think that Angelou, while she was writing it, kind of even hinted at what was going on enough for the reader to even figure out what was kind of going on. It was kind of like some scenes were presented in a way that were, you had to work them out for yourself, but by working them out for yourself, they lost the impact. So it was kind of like, and one that's just coming to mind now is that the Uncle Willie, I think it's called, has to get into the potato box, tub thing, where they keep the potatoes, to kind of avoid being lynched, because the lynchers are out. But it's done in such a hollow way that is obviously reflective of the fact that she doesn't understand the significance of that. But by leaving it open to the interpretation of the person reading it or listening to it, it's kind of lacking. That could have been an emotional scene, that could have been something that was felt by the reader or listener to be horrific, but it wasn't. It was just like this uncle's in the potatoes dribbling on them. Like, that was what I got from the scene. So I was kind of a bit like, it just wasn't hitting the spot with it, really. The other thing is that she's 3 to 17. Now, I would question her early recountings of her life. I have memories from when I'm 3, but they're very short and they're not, you know, I would have to be fictitiously padding the event to come up with a significant chapter, which she must have done. There's no way she could have remembered everything that she's wrote about. She must have padded it with stuff. So then that makes me feel like it's inauthentic. So it's kind of more verging on like the novel, but like, why do I not? It's just, I don't understand why she's merged all the genres. Like, why this person even challenged her to do it, and why she thought that it was such a good idea. I think generally, you know, even though she is aging throughout the book, I never thought that I could tell that she was aging. So it's kind of like she's the same throughout. She's the same naive character that doesn't understand what's going on around her, and is very kind of like, I was going to say green, but like naive to everything that's going on around, so I'm just repeating myself. So she doesn't seem like an adult at all at any point. I suppose she's not, but I mean, at 17, she's had sex with somebody. I'm probably going to spoil this, sorry. And she's ended up pregnant, and she doesn't even like, there's just no kind of proper comment on it at all. Like, it's just bizarre how she recounts it. And I kind of think, as an adult looking back at that, if that was how you were at that age, why is there not comments there like there would be on autobiographies? It was severely lacking in that sense. And the other thing is that it gives an insight into 1930s South American states and what they kind of went through. But lots of books you can get that from. Alice Walker's The Colour Purple, again, is very, very similar to this one in the sense that it's a bit boring and it kind of gives you an insight, but it's not, done particularly well. Although that one has more emotion to it than what this one does, so that is stronger than this one. But if you already know about the southern states, there's not much really more to kind of grasp. Like, you don't get any more information from this book than what you would get from any other book. So I can't really like say why you would read this book, to be honest. It doesn't really give you much insight into her life or her as a person. Like, you know a little bit about where she's come from, but you could have guessed that because she came from Southern America. So it's kind of like, what was the point of even reading it, almost? There was obviously a horrific scene in there, but it didn't come across horrific. It wasn't emotional when I was reading it. It wasn't horrifying when I was reading it, because it just wasn't. It was just bizarrely written, I found. It was, I guess she was trying to write it from a child perspective, but when she was writing it, she wasn't a child, so I don't think you can authentically do that. And so, although she might have memories of what happened, I think they would have been changed with time anyway. So yeah, I didn't enjoy it on second reading, and I wouldn't recommend it. I definitely won't be reading any more from her. I know she's wrote like loads of autobiographies, but to be honest with you, this one put me right off reading anymore.